Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical new economic model, one that's designed to go after some of our biggest systemic failures at the root. And we're going to see how it works through an incredible case study that's starting up in British Columbia, one that hopes to turn a story of crisis into one of real community wealth and health. But, to really get our heads around the solution, we first have to understand the problem. And it's not just one thing, right? It's this tangled web. We're talking about deep financial insecurity, nutritional gaps in our communities, and this feeling of being totally disconnected from the very economic systems that are supposed to be supporting us. So let's bring this big, kind of abstract idea right down to earth. Our first section takes us to British Columbia, Canada, so we can see what a systemic failure actually looks like up close and personal.
What does that failure look like? Well, it looks like this number, 6.1 years. Between 2017 and 2021, the life expectancy for Status First Nations people in BC dropped by a staggering 6.1 years. I mean, that's not just a statistic, that's a massive red flag that something is deeply, deeply wrong.
And when you start digging into why, you find this whole network of barriers. We're talking about systemic racism in healthcare, no access to clean water, being geographically cut off from care, major food insecurity, you name it. It's this vicious cycle that just keeps feeding itself, and the usual fixes just aren't working. So, when you're facing a problem that complex, what if the answer isn't just another program? What if it's a completely different way of thinking about the problem itself? That brings us to Section 2, a really audacious idea that sees food not just as medicine, but as a way to build actual wealth. And this is the big question at the very heart of the model we're looking at today. I mean, seriously, what if a simple, tangible product, a nutrition bar, could be the tool that starts to fix these huge, intangible problems? Could food actually be a vehicle for creating both health and wealth? Well, here's the tangible starting point, the BarNess Miracle Bar. It's a 400-calorie, nutrient-packed, shelf-stable bar. But look, it is so much more than just a snack. It's designed to be the catalyst, the spark, that gets this entire economic engine going. And the mission is literally built right into the product. The bars are packed in these 24K treasure chests, which gives someone 2 full weeks of food security. And here's the kicker. Half of everything they produce is dedicated to feeding the hungry. It's not a charity arm, it's baked right into the business model. Commercial success is directly tied to social impact. Okay, so this is the part you're probably wondering about. How on earth does buying a nutrition bar create community wealth? Well, this next section is all about the super innovative financial engine that makes this whole thing work. The whole thing is built on this new idea, a consumer-to-asset integrated economy. Now think about it. Normally, when you buy something, your money just kind of vanishes into some giant corporate system. But here, that spending gets captured and turned into a real, tangible asset that grows in value, specifically land. And this chart just shows the cycle perfectly. A consumer spends money, that money flows into the ecosystem to buy a real asset like farmland. That land is improved so it becomes more valuable and it generates returns. The loop is closed. It's a self-reinforcing flywheel of value. Let's just walk through it step by step. 1. You buy a miracle bar. 2. An algorithm automatically sends 20% of that sale into an investment fund. 3. That fund uses the money to buy farmland through a real estate investment trust. And 4. They use permaculture to make that land healthier and more productive, which increases its value. Simple, direct, and totally transparent. The sources use this fantastic analogy to explain the 2 financial pillars of the system. You've got the AI Agri-Wealth Fund. That's the circulatory system. It's the active part, pumping capital through the whole ecosystem. And then you have the BarNess REIT. That's the skeletal structure, the stable, solid entity that holds the land, providing security and a foundation for everything else. And watching over this entire process is an ethical AI named Genie. You can think of it as the system's brain, or maybe its central nervous system. It's constantly analyzing data to chart the best path forward, but it does it all based on one core principle: do no harm. It's designed to make sure that the hunt for profit is always aligned with creating a positive impact. Which, of course, brings us right back to British Columbia. Because this isn't just some theory on a whiteboard. It's a global idea that's being put to the test right now with a super specific community-focused pilot project designed to tackle that very crisis we started with. This quote from the project proposal, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's about a massive shift in how we think.
Instead of playing defense, reactively spending millions to manage sickness, it's about playing offense by proactively investing thousands to create wellness from the ground up.
And the project is built on this really smart structure called the triple helix model. The idea is to create a powerful partnership. You've got academia bringing the research and ethics, industry providing the economic engine, and government helping to create the conditions for real, lasting societal change.
So, the source material actually laid out a few different ways this pilot could go, but the one they chose to lead with is the Indigenous Lab. Why? Because its main asset is intellectual property, traditional knowledge. Its focus is serving First Nations, and the economic proof will come from turning that traditional wisdom into commercial value.
And this is where the model gets truly exciting. The goal here is to create a Blue Zone-style success story, but right in BC. The pilot is designed to directly empower a First Nations community. They'll set up a local processing unit, hire local youth to harvest traditional superfoods like soapberries, and turn that ancestral knowledge into a modern, healthy product. The aim is to revitalize traditional diets to radically improve health, while at the same time building a brand new engine for local wealth and economic reconciliation.
But you have to understand, this incredibly powerful pilot in BC isn't the end goal. It's the proof of concept. It's the first step in a much, much bigger vision. And that brings us to our final section, the global blueprint.
The plan laid out in the sources is this really structured 4-phase global rollout. It starts in Canada, building that solid asset base. Then it moves to the UAE to build up financial and manufacturing muscle. Then it scales to mass production to tackle world hunger before finally reaching the full vision. And this slide, this is the ultimate vision. Phase 4 ends with the creation of these sanctuary kill zones. Think of them as eco-tourism hubs built on the very land owned by the REIT, the land that every bar sale helps to buy. They're designed to be these self-sustaining communities that foster health, innovation, and what the source calls perfect worlds. So we end with this really provocative thought. This entire blueprint, from a single bar to a global sanctuary, is built on one core belief, that you can actually align profit with purpose. That by creating a system where doing good for people and the planet is also the most profitable thing to do, can we finally build a blueprint for a more secure and maybe even a more peaceful future for all of us?